life, whether you're a student, whether you're a young executive, whether you're a family man, or whether you're a retired person, in all walks of life, it's going to help you. So, for the next 25 to 30 minutes, I'll take you through emotional intelligence. So, what is this topic all about? Emotional intelligence refers to our capacity to recognize our feelings. Most of the time, we don't recognize why we got angry. We don't recognize why we became sad. So, recognizing our own feelings, recognizing the feeling of the others, it could be your workplace, it could be your family, or it could be the team. Then, motivating the others, and finally, managing your anger by, let's say, the standard methods which we prescribe, and doing well ourselves and within our relationships. So, let's talk about emotional intelligence.
Why is it telling me about EQ?
Now, listen, students, EQ is something which is going to be with you right through your admission process. So, EQ is there in every psychometric testing today. So, when you go for a job, you are really going through EQ. Then, when you take up your job, for the first 1 month, it's all about EQ. And finally, to be a responsible citizen, also, it's all about EQ. So, EQ is there right through your life. Oh, 90% of job selection is EQ. Then I might as well pay attention. So, now a good example in the days of COVID, we have people together for long hours. An old retired couple trying to make conversation one evening. The husband says, when I die, I'm leaving everything for you. He's talking about the will. Forget the will. How about doing the mopping and the dishes today? Because she's more worried about the maid not coming today. So it's a good example of how people misunderstand each other with the intentions of both people being good. So, how to develop EQ skills? First of all, revising the responsibles to feeling. For example, you must understand that times are changing, and in situations we have to change our responses to whatever feelings we had earlier. Second, changing our thinking patterns. Third, altering our behavior and trying new things. And in this field, normally coaching would help us because emotions lead to thoughts, thought leads to behavior, and behavior leads to performance. So it's good to do a SWOT analysis before each phase of life. Let's say you're in your final year of engineering and you want to do an analysis for taking up a job. So first thing you do is list out all your strengths. Were you good in academics? Were you good in outdoors? Were you good in team building? Then list out your weaknesses. Were you fluent in English language? Were your skills of logic and reasoning good? Were your communication skills good? Then define the opportunities. For example, all engineers now prefer to go in for a software job. Would you still prefer to do your own skill on engineering? Then understand the threats in the job environment and finally make an informed decision. So when you do a SWOT analysis, first thing is you have to be honest to yourself. List out your strengths and weaknesses honestly to your heart. Second, fill up the job opportunities, the threats and the opportunities to get a holistic picture of what all you need to do.
Sir, would you please help me to fill this?
Yeah, sure. Now these students of mine, they need my help at all times. So we have now a template for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And therefore, the strengths column, in each of the columns, I've given you a hint. That is, put down your experience, your education, your technical expertise. Some people may be better at hands-on things. Others may be better at communication skills. So when you are filling up this template for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, remember that you have to remember the opportunities and threats are within the environment, and the strengths and weaknesses are within you. And here it requires a lot of honesty to fill up everything accurately and not hide your weaknesses. So what is emotional intelligence? These are the four pillars. The first one, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So once you have completed your SWOT analysis, it's likely you will have a holistic picture of your strengths and weaknesses. Then knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your teammate. Then diffusing the areas of conflict. And finally, using the common strengths towards attaining the organizational goal. So these are the four pillars of EQ which are going to help you in team building. Just to give you a small example, myself, Captain Subbarao, and my friend Captain Jain, we ran a course for 6 years for engineering and nautical science, and we realized my weakness was I was not so good in mathematics. And my friend from IIT, he was good in mathematics. So we decided to split the syllabus, not as per subjects, but we split the syllabus as per the theory was taken by me and the numericals were taken by him. This is a good example of how in a team the strengths and weaknesses help you to form a better team to attain the organizational goals. So these were the 16 personality factors. Now, whenever we talk of emotional intelligence, it is based on personality factors. So over a period of time, 16 personality factors have been identified, and these personality factors go towards your psychometric testing. So when you go to seek a job, the job psychometric testing is made based on these factors. And therefore, it would be nice for you to realize what you are being assessed for. So I'm not going to go in each one of these factors, but the important ones are factor number 4, which is emotional stability, factor number 12, which is sensitivity, and factor number 16, which is warmth. These are the crucial ones. So when you go to for any job interview now, you will have a psychometric testing. This psychometric testing, as is shown in the slide, assesses you for various factors. Most of the time, my students, before going for the test, ask me, "Sir, what is the right answer?" There is no right answer or wrong answer. There is only one answer, that is your answer. Because your answer reveals your personality. So I used to advise them that go ahead and come and answer what comes first to your mind, and let it not be a reaction after a second thought, because then that is not your psychology. After you have answered it with the first attempt, don't try to make a guess, because the same factor is going to be put there 5 questions later. And if you made a guess, the difference will be revealed and the psychologist will know that you're faking the answer.
Excuse
So,
me, sir. Please share the slide.
yeah,
Please share the slide.
Your share, you use the share screen.
yeah.
You,
Were you getting it till now?
no, it was not coming. You should use
No,
the
sir.
share screen button to share your slide.
Okay.
The share screen button at the bottom, green button at the bottom, share screen. Please look at the bottom. There is
Yes,
your ribbon. Is it at the top or at the bottom?
bottom.
Then there is share screen, green button with an arrow. Look at the bottom. Share screen, green button with an arrow.
Is it better now?
Now, but then you have to.
Yes, yes,
now,
yes.
now, and then you put it into slide show mode.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Then I go-
Yes.
you'll have to go to the beginning. You'll have to
Should I-
go to the beginning. Yeah, and you might have to repeat.
Okay, I'll run through it fast.
Please start. Click at the beginning from the beginning.
Okay. Have you got it now?
Yeah, now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Okay, I will do a fast forward for the slides till where we went.
Sure.
All of you will have to bear with me. We'll do a fast forward just now. So first thing is that what is emotional intelligence? As I told you earlier, it is recognizing your feelings. A good example I'll give you that when I was in the Navy, I used to be very angry whenever I saw corruption. But after 22 years of leaving the Navy, I don't mind paying 100 rupees if I have to jump a red light. So first of all, recognizing your feelings. Second, recognizing the feelings of the others. Why does my wife get angry? Why does my boss get angry? Why does my teammate get angry? Then next, motivating the others. And finally, managing your anger or managing your emotions. So this topic is all about your own feelings, the feelings of the others, and managing the feelings of yourself and the others. So now my students generally ask me, why are you telling us all about EQ? So I told them that when you join a company after your engineering, 90% of your selection is based on psychometric testing. And in psychometric testing, it is there for the selection of your job, for the first month when you join the job, the first week when you're inside the job, and right through. So here's a small example of how feelings can get misunderstood. This old couple, during the days of COVID, one fine evening, sitting down and talking to each other, the husband says, when I die, I'm leaving everything to you. In response to this, his wife says, forget the will. How about helping with the mopping and the dishes today? Because her problem is the maid has not come today. So the good intentions of both, but leading to a misunderstanding between the two. So why should we have control on our emotions? And what is emotional intelligence, which now is measured in terms of EQ? Earlier, the world believed in IQ. Intelligence quotient was a part of all the selection processes. And now it is EQ. Why? Because IQ was a measure of the skills as an individual, but did not reflect anything about his team building skills. Whereas EQ talks about how you react with others. So the emotions must be right, your thoughts would be right, your behavior would be apt, and finally your performance as a team would be good. So revise your response to the feelings, change your thinking patterns, change with times. What was true 10 years back may not be true today. Alter your behavior pattern. And finally, some amount of coaching can help you. Like IQ, it was believed made up before 10 years of age, but EQ can be learned at any time. So the first step towards knowing yourself would be to carry out a SWOT analysis. To carry out the SWOT analysis, the prescribed template is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, what you got to do in these 4 quadrants, fill up your strengths as honestly as you can, fill up your weaknesses with greater honesty, fill up the opportunities of the job market, fill up what is required by your team, and once you got all four visible to you at the same time in the matrix, your decision will be more holistic and balanced. So this, my students generally ask me, sir, how do we fill up this SWOT analysis? So I made a template for them with the hints on each for the thinking processes when they fill up this form. Sorry. So what are the four pillars for? So as I told you, the first pillar is knowing yourself, your strengths and weaknesses, knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your teammate, diffusing the areas of conflicts, and enhancing the common strengths to attain the organizational goals. For this, I'd like to quote an example. We were two captains conducting a course for about 6 years. He was from IIT, and generally his technical skills of mathematics and physics were better. So instead of distributing the syllabus by subjects, we distributed it in a manner that I did all the theory and he did all the numericals. So that was how we used the common strengths to attain the organizational goals. These are the 16 personality factors which we are taught in HR, which are used to design the psychometric testing. The psychometric testing is designed based on the needs of the job. For example, when we joined NDA, we had a 5 days interview. And in the 5 days interview, the psychometric testing and the GTO dwelled upon these 16 factors. I will now dwell upon some of them. Factor number 4, which is emotional stability. Factor number 12, which is sensitivity. And factor number 16, which is warmth. But all psychometric testing is based on these 16 factors. It would be nice for you to know what are the factors on which you are being assessed, and therefore know 16 PF. This is how the psychometric testing form looks. And my students, as usual, ask me, sir, what is the right answer and what is the wrong answer? In a psychometric test, it's not like a test where you're having mathematics and physics. There is no right answer or wrong answer. There is only one answer, and that is your answer. Because your answer gives your psychology. And what is being looked forward is your psychology. Also, my advice to the students was, do not fake an answer. Because of these 16 factors, 5 questions later, the same factor might be assessed. And the psychiatrist will know the difference of your 2 answers and know that you have faked it. As a matter of fact, he might get a wrong impression about your psychometric factors, which might cause you to fail. So it's better to give your first impression, which is your psychology, rather than trying to fake an answer. So now we come to one step further, personality and emotional intelligence. Personality, like IQ. IQ was the traits of an individual, his mathematical skills, his hands-on skills, and his, let's say, logic and reasoning. So it was measuring the individual's traits. Whereas EQ was different from IQ because it measures how well the person is able to use his personality in handling emotions or handling his affairs with others. So when we take a combination of EQ, IQ, and personality, that is your factor of team building. So how do we use this knowledge of EQ for leadership in a team? The first thing, as I told you, is managing yourself. So managing yourself consists of empathy. What is empathy? Normally, people think empathy and sympathy are synonymous, but they are not so. Empathy is when I'm able to get into the shoes of the other person and feel where the shoe is biting. Next is self-control, not explode in a stress, not explode in a sense of joy, and have self-confidence. The keystone for self-confidence is knowledge. But application of knowledge is what EQ will tell us. Next is managing your team, developing others. In a team, developing your individual skills is secondary. Developing the team skills is primary. And next, holding people accountable. Tell your juniors to do a job, and when they do the job, they do it well. Hold them accountable for it, and they will grow faster. Finally, team leadership. Then you go to manage the work. What you do is try to work towards results. Not the methodology, but the end result is more important. Then take the initiative. Actually, when we were in college, we had public speaking, and out of 10 people, they used to say, who would like to talk first? Then I used to put a man and say, I will go first. The other 9 people asked me, Subbarao, why do you volunteer to go first? I said, the reason is very simple. If I speak first, I set the standard. But if I talk after you, you have set a standard and I have to compete with you. So sometimes taking an initiative is good for you. Then indulge in problem solving, and finally work towards the goal so that the efforts of all people do not cross each other but enhance each other. So that is how you apply EQ for your leadership skills. What is managing yourself, managing your team, managing the work, and managing together. So now leadership itself is a subject by itself. We talk of various types of leaders, but I shall restrict myself to only to the end result. First, what are the knowledge required for a leader? Physical quotient, intellectual quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient. But most of the management textbooks don't talk about spirituality and about physical quotient. They talk about IQ and EQ, and our subject today is bound by EQ. So, where are the areas of overlap? The areas of overlap between IQ and EQ are shown in this diagram. I would like to sum it up by only saying that the IQ more is for personal traits and the EQ is more for team traits. So the team performance is measured by EQ. Your capability to perform in a team is measured by EQ, whereas IQ only measures your individual traits and skills. So this is what researchers say to help you to analyze yourself, which I covered in the earlier slide. Do a SWOT analysis, and whenever there's a change in your life, carry out a fresh analysis. So now, IQ contributes to about 20% success in your life. The rest is all EQ. So for example, let's list out some of them: vocabulary, memory for pictures, naming of objects, repeating of sentences, and following commands. These are part of your IQ, which really do not contribute towards how you perform in a team. So, IQ finally is a zipper between the ability to recognize and understand your emotions, and finally, not only understanding it, use this awareness to manage yourself and manage the relationship with others in your team. I'm using the word team, but this word includes family, includes joint family, includes your work culture, includes your college spirit, and friends. So what are the driving forces? When we talk of EQ, the driving forces are generally your head and your heart, and mostly your heart, because the emotions are generally governed by the heart, but the head puts in the logic, and converts these emotions so that they fit in to the team skills. In the modern day world, we have added the wallet also, because today an average individual likes to have his pay package when he goes for an interview for a job, which is one of the pushes and pulls for job hunting. But truly speaking, EQ consists of more of the heart and the head. So here I would like to make a special mention about leadership just in one slide, which is a subject by itself. The first thing is, a leader need not be a person who's got high qualifications. As I normally tell my students, sometimes there's a traffic jam and one young boy comes out of his car, controls all the traffic, all the car drivers obey him. He's a leader who emerged on the spot. So their types of leaders are a transactional leader. A transactional leader is one who actually works towards the goals of the objectives, and the transformational leader is who goes one step better to bring out the best in every individual of the team and makes each individual perform at a much better level. So the 5 emotions are awareness, vision, imagination, responsibility, and action. I see someone is wearing his hat. Okay, so here I am. Right, so we now go to a transactional leader and a transformational leader. The next slide will take us to a small case study. We are somewhere halfway through our topic today, and it will be nice to have a case study, which is the normal mode of education nowadays. So a small case study. So I was captain of a ship. The ship's name was INS Chatak, and we had a crew of around 40 people. And we were a very closely knit team. It was almost like a home, a joint family. And we had a guy called Dhaya. And this Dhaya was a very efficient worker. Went on leave, got married, came back, and I saw his performance coming down. I had a small talk with him, and he said, "Sir, my wife is illiterate. She can't read or write. So she sits at home. She's looking after my aged parents, running the house, and she can't let go her worries and discuss with anyone." So I gave him a set of 30 postcards, and all the postcards had the address of the ship, and told him, every week when your wife goes to the market, let her put a small cross on the postcard and put it for you. And my promise is that if you get 3 postcards with a cross mark, that means your wife is in a situation where she needs your help. And I would give you 30 days leave. This was a part of creativity, compassion, and communication, which clicked with all the crew of 40 people, because they realized that if they wanted leave, they need not get a false telegram. They would get leave as soon as the requirements were there at home. So this case study proved that, one, I had to understand each one from my ship. 2, I had to convince them that their needs were equally important as mine. And 3, the action was prescribed so that they knew and their family knew well that if they were needed at home, they would be present there. So this was a case study which I normally discuss on communications. So we come back to our subject after the case study. In our brain, we have 2 lobes, the rational lobe and the emotional lobe. And EQ is the one which talks between these 2 lobes. So if you are able to control your EQ, you will be balancing your rational and your emotional brain so as to function practically. So it is nice to know that you have a rational brain and you have an emotional brain, and EQ is the one which is helping you to balance between these two. So, how are generally people with a high EQ? Generally, people with a high EQ would be very outgoing, they would be very happy, they would be happy with any job they are carrying out, they would be empathic or sympathy with others, and finally, they would like others also to grow within their team. Sorry. Right. So now some tips for improving your relationships. This is the days of COVID when people are all sitting at home and you're closer to each other than you would have normally been. So these are some of the tips for improving your EQ. First, it's taking care of your health. I'm talking of now not the student community, but the elder family. Listening if you expect to be heard. So if you want someone to hear you, the first thing is the onus of listening falls on your shoulders. Then teach the emotional choice. Then teach generously by receiving as well as by giving. Communicate silently. That is, the other person should be able to hear you even without words. Try to solve the problems of others and make a lasting impression through your actions. Please remember that assurance by words do not have the same impact as one good action. Know your errors and apologize for the errors which you make, and also discover the unique needs. For example, one grandchild's needs might be different from the other grandchild. You should be able to identify. In my case, for example, my need for communication is stronger than my need for hunger. So therefore, if a person in my team understands that I need more of support than an average person, we will fit better into the jigsaw puzzle. And finally, be generous. So just to remember and revise the last slide, I'm telling you, we revise what are the 4 pillars of EQ. The 4 pillars of EQ were knowing your strengths and weaknesses, the strengths and weaknesses of others, diffusing the areas of conflict. This requires a very big heart. You must accept the areas of conflict between the team and work towards diffusing those conflicts. And finally, enhancing the common strengths to attain the goal of the team. And this is for my students once again. Please remember, EQ is the final for you to get a job. Your CV only helps you to get shortlisted for the interview, but your selection depends on your EQ 80% and IQ 20%. So to conclude, it is self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. So finally, know yourself and apply this emotion of knowing yourself to members of the team. The next thing which I normally teach my students is how to write your goals, which are SMART goals, which is beyond the topic for today. And that completes my talk for today. So I hope you would gain from this rather than just enjoy it. And I've given my telephone number and my email ID so that it is a lasting relationship and not only these 30 minutes we've spoken to each other. My 600 students still communicate with me. Now they can be 620. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a very wonderful and very informative session. Time just flew away. We really couldn't notice that it got over. And very good intake about the emotional intelligence. So if anyone having any questions, may please type in the chat box. Sir will be answering them. Sir, we have one question already. So it's from Suman Prasad Maurya. Which is the best EQ tool or test which should be used?
No, see, EQ testing, the person who is testing you has designed the EQ based on what is requirement for that job. So we cannot have a blanket solution to that problem. For example, if I make an EQ test for Indian Navy, I would like to have a person who can take high risk. But I'm saying devising the same thing for Merchant Navy, I would have someone with a lesser risk-taking capability. So there is nothing to say that this test is better than the other. Each EQ psychometric testing is made and based and designed on the requirements of that job. So what you would require is look at the 16 PF and identify what are the nature of skills required for that job, then prepare accordingly. Does that answer your question?
Sir, another question from Deepali.
Yes.
How can we teach each to kids?
How can we teach what?
Like I think the emotional intelligence to kids.
Okay. Yeah. So emotional intelligence, for example, when you're talking of kids, first thing you must remember is children do not learn what you tell them. Children learn what they observe in your body language. Before the age of 10, a child knows कि अभी मम्मी को गुस्सा आ गया है. Even the mummy has not said a word, but the child knows कि mummy is angry. So before the age of 10, the mind of a child is like a hard disk, and everything is recorded on it without editing. So what I will say is, you cannot teach EQ, but if you yourself behave in a manner of ideal EQ, it will automatically record on the child's mind before the age of 10. And once the age of 10 is there, the foundations of ethics, values, empathy, sympathy, all get ingrained in the brain. And therefore, I will not say that you can teach much of EQ. Yes, you can teach them a SWOT analysis later on, after the age of 10. In the SWOT, they will get a balance between their strengths and weaknesses. That would be the right thing to do rather than grooming them before the age of 10.
Right, sir. Anyone having any questions may ask. Either you can directly ask or type in chat box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you please, can you speak louder? I'm not able to hear you.
Hello.
Yes, Deepali Kulkarni.
Sir, you told about SWOT analysis. How to explain this SWOT analysis to grown-up kids? 10 year after 10-year kid.
Yeah. So what I will tell you is, in SWOT analysis, first thing is that you can take a template of SWOT analysis which I showed in one of my slides. This template gives the hints to the individual. Suppose I want to make a template on my strengths and weaknesses, but I don't know how to go about it. So the hints I can take is mathematical skills, logic and reasoning, then language skills, interpersonal skills. So I can think of each one of these factors and give myself a grading based on them. Whereas if I'm above 5, I can call it a strength. If I'm below 5, I can call it a weakness. This will help the individual to make a SWOT analysis.
Okay.
But we can't teach each factor.
Okay.
Then if you're honest to yourself, you can do it. Most of the time, we like to be dishonest to ourselves and hide our weaknesses.
Sir, one question is that if the child is little emotional weak, then how we can deal with that child, or what we can do psychologically what we can take the steps to handle that kid or groom up that kid?
The first thing is remember that most of the time the problem is with us, not with the children.
Oh,
Because we are not able to understand what the child is in. For example, let's say a drawing which is made by the child. He is imagining a snake which is sitting on top of the hill, and only he can see it, but you can't see it. So most of the time, the effort to understand the child lies on your shoulders. And if you observe the body language of the child, you will get a reasonably good idea of what are his likes, dislikes, and most important, what are his fears. And you must reassure him that these fears will not affect him. That is what you can do.
okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So one more question from Vaishnavi Gupta. Sir, how to control our emotions?
Okay, this is a topic which we normally cover for senior people. I don't know what is your age, but if you are middle age, normally for anger management, we call it the rule of 10. So when you get really angry as a boss, instead of shouting at your team, count in your mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And by the time you counted 10, your anger has cooled down. Second, do not give an immediate answer, especially an answer which is no. Count 3 in your mind before saying no. Because the other person will then realize that you not said no on an impulse. You have said no for a reason. So these are the ways in which we help people to control their, especially anger.
Right, sir. One more question from Sunny. Sir, how to control our thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Thoughts are the most fickle things. वो सबसे ज्यादा इधर से उधर दौड़ती हैं. It's very difficult to control your thoughts, and that is why many people advise meditation. So please remember that thoughts are coming mostly from your subconscious mind, not from your active mind. And for subconscious mind, they say that one of the solutions is meditation. The other thought is repeatedly telling yourself that this thought is not the one which is going to harm you. For example, let's say when I was a young boy and I went past a burial ground, I used to get very fearful thoughts. I used to get scared. So whenever I went past a burial ground, I used to keep telling myself, don't get scared, don't get scared, don't get scared, don't get scared, don't get scared. And over a period of time, this thought process of getting scared near a burial ground was overcome. So repeatedly telling yourself may help.
Right, sir. So one more question from Vandana Pawar. She's working with Indian Air Force Station and she's facing a lot of emotional issues of defense personnel as well as anxiety and depression and PTSD. What was your experience, sir? She's asking.
Okay, one was the experience I told you of the story of Dhaya. The story of Dhaya was I was able to pinpoint that 43 people in my crew were worried because they stayed away from home, and especially from Haryana, where there was a lot of child marriages in those days, and many of the sailors' wives were not literate. So they had an interpersonal communication issue. Okay, so I can imagine in the Air Force too, there would be emotional challenges. Some of the challenges are true. Some of the challenges can be solved if you discuss the issue between your peer group and finally with your immediate superior, whoever is the officer.
Okay, sir.
Can you
Prakash,
to send me a mail? I can give a better explanation and longer explanation. She said she's from the Air Force.
right, sir.
I've given my email ID on the last slide.
Yes, sir. And sir, Prakash is asking, it's simple to control thoughts. When should we take a decision, emotionally or intelligently?
See, whenever you want to take a decision, the first thing is do not take it by impulse. An impulsive decision is wrong unless it's a fire. If it is a fire and I have to jump from the third floor, I will jump even I have to break my bones. But for normal decisions in life, take a time, make a SWOT analysis. On one sheet of paper, you will get your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats all in front of your eyes at the same time. Otherwise, we think in compartments. And when you think in compartments, you can go wrong. So, a well thought over decision by analysis is the solution to the problem, excepting, of course, if you are in a fire. Yeah, does it answer your question?
Yes, sir. Anyone having any more questions may directly ask, or you may type in the chat box. I'll read it out for him.
Sir, taking decisions on emotions or intelligence, it might depends on the situation, sir. Na? It might depend on situation.
Yeah, that's true. No. See, for example, when I talk of opportunities and threats, that is a part of controlling the situation. See, as I told you, SWOT analysis consists of strengths and weaknesses are within you, opportunities and threats are within the environment. So we do accept that the decision depends on the whatever you're doing. So like I told you, in case of a fire, your decision will be different. I might jump from third floor and break my bones, but I'm alive. So it will depend on the situation, but if you take a holistic approach, you will be doing the right thing rather than doing it with an impulse.
Oh, yes, sir.
Sir, we have one more. Yes, Deepali, you want to ask something? Right. Sir, we have one more question from Ashdeep. Sir, kindly explain how one can increase one's rational as well as creative abilities.
Yeah, creativity is one thing is there. In creativity, please take it as an quality which you have to cultivate or nurture. Creativity by birth in your DNA is there available for certain time. But there are tools of creativity which I teach in my class, and these tools of creativity will help you to improve your creativity. For example, looking at an object from another angle. When you look at a ladder from the normal angle, the impressions you get will be different. But you go below the ladder and look at it, it will be different. So there are certain things for creativity. There are three types. There's something known as creativity, product creativity, process creativity, architectural creativity. We have tools for this, and certain amount of creativity is built into you. For example, let's say every individual has a left brain and a right brain. The left brain and right brain control your logic and your art. So by birth and before the age of 10, you have already got your left brain and right brain at some level. But these tools of creativity can help you to enhance it, which are available in a book. And if you want it, you just send me a mail. I will tell you all the tools for creativity, which is a subject by itself.
Any more questions? Anyone may type in the chat box, or you may ask directly. Anything related to emotional intelligence?
Sir, emotional intelligence we can't teach. It is means it is their own personal intelligence, no, sir. We can't teach. Means
No.
it is inbuilt by person.
No. See what happens. Let us dwell on this topic for a few minutes more. Emotional intelligence, number one, is different from in IQ. For many years, till around 25 years back, IQ was the single factor which determined the traits of an individual. When we came to emotional intelligence or EQ, EQ consists of controlling those factors also. And therefore, EQ, let's say till the age of 10, the fundamental values, the fundamental ethics, the fundamental rights and wrongs get ingrained in your brain. But, for example, let's say when I was in the Navy for 22 years, my views towards corruption were very strict, rigid, and very orthodox. But when I left the Navy and now 22 years outside the Navy, my emotions towards the same corruption, I feel that, okay, if the aim is to be met, it is not right or wrong, it is not good or bad, it is not black or white, there is a gray between the black and the white. And that is what you can develop.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, one more question from Suman. Is it an learnable activity or traits?
It can be learned. See, for example, let's say anger management. I know people who are basically very angry. But when we told them that whenever you are getting angry, count 10, we found that they improved. Whenever we talk about, let's say, an impulsive no, if we tell people that you count 3 before you say no, they improve. So, certain amount of training can be done to control them. This is over and above your fundamental, which is formed at around the age of 10.
Right, so we have one more question. Someone is asking, Tarandeep, any book recommendation to improve emotional intelligence?
Okay, I'm not in favor of reading books, but the book on emotional intelligence, which is a standard textbook, you can pick it up. It's available in the market. Just you write emotional intelligence in Google and you'll get about 10 books. In that, some of them are the self-taught series and some of them the theory. I would prefer that you pick up the self-taught series. But finally, after you read it, see, laws do not change. Application of the law changes. So therefore, if you know what is emotional intelligence is only a factor, but learning how to apply it in different situations is the skill. So pick up the textbook, read the textbook, but apply your left brain and right brain over it to derive results.
Hello, sir. Are there any programs to develop the emotional intelligence for, especially for kids? Any programs conducted, especially for young kids?
I have done it for people who are, cadets in the Navy. They would be around 20 years old. And I have done it for people who are around 40 years old. And most of the time it worked. I'm not too sure for kids because you see, in case of kids psychology, I have a very strong belief that kids learn by observing the body language of the mother and the father rather than what you tell them. If you tell them, beta ye mat karo, he will go behind the curtain and do exactly that. So what he learns is more by what he observes rather than what you teach.
Not regarding with behavior with parents only, sir, but normal just means how to improve themselves, taking decisions, because slowly they are growing. So some guidance if they get from this program, and because generally with kids, they don't much listen to parents and they don't bother about it. But if any program they attend, they will be more means aware for that.
Yeah, I will tell you 2 or 3 hints. Number one, that whenever you are dealing with a child and you want him to do make it come from him, from within him, rather than coming from external, what you are telling. Second, make learning fun. For example, if I want to teach mathematics, then instead of teaching it from the textbook, if I teach it from practical, I'll tell you what I did. I wanted to teach ratio. So I took a foot ruler, measured the shadow of the foot ruler, went near a building, measured the shadow of the building, and the person understood what is the ratio and proportion. So when you're dealing with children, it requires much more patience from you rather than you expect him to behave the way you want instantaneously.
Okay.
But compassion will help and guidance will help. There's no doubt that it is not that it is just that they'll pick up on their own. Your motivation and your behavior is the one which will guide them.
Okay.
And I don't think textbook knowledge, there are books are there on child psychology, but again, child psychology will give you a broad characteristics which will has to be customized towards your child.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Deepali, like I would like to announce that next weekend we are conducting a critical skills workshop for teens, starting from 13 years to 20. If you are interested, anyone is interested, may enroll
Yeah.
to that through the Life History website.
Please let me
And
know.
yeah, sure. Sir, coming back to questions. Nothing much, sir. Someone is asking whether we can have a webinar on managing emotions.
Sure, I can do that.
So,
I
will
can do that. See, but before that, what I'd like to actually talk, I would like to talk to an audience which is more narrow. For example, let's say teenage children, as you rightly mentioned, that next time you're going to talk to an age group which has a similar identity. So definitely it can help. But if you have a group which is very diverse, the solutions are not pinpointed. Like you rightly said, you're having it for teenagers. Something like that, definitely I can do.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Will
Especially in
plan
the
it.
days of COVID, I would like to spell out certain things which we can do.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, I think we are done with the questions. Nothing in the Facebook as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone having any questions? May
Yeah, you
still
can use my
it is
email
open.
ID,
Yeah,
maps1711@yahoo.com. You may
yeah,
use my email ID. And if you
sure.
want to
And
pick me up, the ideal time is evening 6:30 to 7:30. Any call is welcome. And this time they have got 600 cadets who ring me up. So 600 won't become 700. It's okay.
sure, sir. So that is it. And if you want to listen to the webinar again, it's available in Life History's Facebook page as well as Life History's YouTube channel. You may go and visit, and you can watch the previous webinar as well. And for all the other services like the music, astrology, the counseling, and the training, and the yoga, you may visit Life History website www.lifehistory.com, and you may book the services. And we are doing the series of webinar. You can keep logging in and like the Facebook page of Life History for the updates. Thank you so much, sir. We would like to have many more sessions with you. And this is really a very informative, and thank all the participants also. They're very lively and asking very good questions. So that the information is shared to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.